Today on AVOD, SVOD, and CTV as platforms. And for this session, I would like to welcome Ms. Kosal Malladi, Vice President, Digital West, Madison, Kunal Bhardwaj, Senior Director, Marketing, UPSTOX, Ediriwira, Group CTO, NXTDIGITAL Limited, Zubin, COO, OTT and Digital Businesses, Shemaroo Entertainment Limited. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Karan Taurani, SVP, Research Analyst, Media, Elara Securities India Private Limited. I welcome you all and over to you, Mr. Taurani.
Welcome to this panel here. It's a very interesting topic around AVOD, SVOD, and connected TV, which are the emerging themes in need today in the digital market in India. So I think just to give you a perspective here, India's OTT market is about $1.5 billion, estimated to grow to more than double over the next 5 years, and probably triple from there on towards $12 billion, in the next 10 years. That's the kind of opportunity we're looking at. Fortunately or unfortunately, I think this market currently is largely AVOD driven. SVOD revenue is very low. It could be about 30% and 70% is driven by AVOD right now. SVOD is about 30%. So we have got a very extreme panel here to discuss in terms of the various themes which are there across these three categories. And I would please join me in welcoming all of them. And thank you so much, IndianTV.com, for giving me this opportunity to moderate this panel. So I'd like to quickly start off with the three platforms, that we're going to discuss today, the three business models, basically. I think we have a very diverse panel, and that's why, I've kind of spread the questions across these panelists clearly. So each one of them is going to talk about, these 2-3 counterpoints here, the effectiveness of this platform, the consumption time spent, and the future growth prospects and the investments needed for these platforms. So I'll just quickly begin off here with Kosal, who will speak about AVOD. So if you can speak on these parameters, Kosal, what is the effectiveness of AVOD in general, some metrics around the consumption patterns there, some growth drivers there, and then I'll move to SVOD and CTV as well. Over to you, Kosal. Thank you.
Okay, hi. Before I'll interject, I'm sorry I'm a last-minute addition to the panel because I really enjoyed. I saw some two friends, Mr. Kunal and Kosal, and rest of you guys seem super interesting. And I said, where is the CTV representation here? And I decided to be a last-minute addition to this panel. So sorry about not being a part of your preparation for this. Karan,
no worries. We're happy to engage on the AVOD business basically, and get questions around that. Definitely.
All right, superb.
Yeah,
Super. Okay, so what are you talking? Effectiveness. Okay, see, honestly, how do we define effectiveness, right? From an advertiser perspective, are we saying is AVOD, advertising on AVOD, as effective as advertising on TV? Is it as effective as advertising on? And when we say OTT, are we also referring to YouTube as OTT, or we are not referring to YouTube as OTT? It's quite open, so people have their own definitions. Right now, from an advertiser perspective, let's just say that we are looking at YouTube and OTT platforms in order to measure the effectiveness of video advertising, right? So when you're measuring the effectiveness of video advertising, an easy way to do it is to equate the effectiveness of a pre-roll or a mid-roll, a completed view of a pre-roll or a mid-roll versus a TV ad, because that's an easy sell, or it's something that people would be comfortable with. Of course, there are so many conversations that if you're advertising on TV, it's a much larger screen and so on and so forth. And OTT is possibly a much smaller screen if you're watching it on your mobile. Of course, connected TV we'll talk about that also, and so on and so forth. The counter to this is that when you're actually watching it on your mobile phone, you're a lot more involved. So you're probably not running away and taking a washroom or a loo break when, or trying to pick up a snack when the ad is playing. So in terms of effectiveness, of course, it's effective in terms of a video. If you say how much do you need to invest to make it effective, there is no right answer to this. It's almost, see, at the end of the day, it's a media platform. So you need to spend X monies to reach X people by number of times. It's a reach frequency game at the end of the day. So if you're able to reach your TG across the OTT universe through a video ad, it becomes effective. You're able to meet your reach and frequency goals. So that's the way I would look at it from an effectiveness perspective. What is the other point, Karan, if you can repeat? Sorry. apart from the effectiveness?
Yeah, something around the consumption part, the growth prospects of AVOD. Basically, where do you see the growth happening going ahead?
Of
What are the
course.
kind of numbers around growth?
Yeah, I think the growth is it's been fantastic, right? And we've said this. A lot of people have said this, that the lockdown really helped OTTs grow, the numbers shoot up, etc., and so on and so forth. I have a bit of a doubt whether all OTT platforms actually grew at the same rate. There are numbers that are claimed, but there is no third-party validation beyond the point. Of course, there is a growth, but a lot of growth is also led by events. It is led by the content that these OTTs are putting on. I don't have too much doubt that a Netflix or an Amazon grew their SVOD platforms. AVOD grows when there is a particular show that comes up, if there is a particular event that comes up. We all know that Hotstar sees a huge spike when there is IPL. Wood probably sees a huge spike when there is Big Boss, and so on and so forth. Has the time spent grown? Yes. We were probably seeing about 35 to 40 minutes per day in terms of time spent on the OTT platforms pre-lockdown. That's probably gone to 50 to 60 minutes, depending on different OTT platforms. So yes, there is growth. And is it here to stay? Of course, it's here to stay. Catch-up TV is catching up. And if you look at the way the catch-up TV trend is also there, I mean, you see a clear trend when there are spikes and falls. It's not like a constant, constant spike on all OTT platforms. So you see a spike during prime time on OTT channels, for example. So yeah, so we can talk a lot more about this during the course of.
Right. Very interesting. I'd like to get Ru also here in the conversation, to add some insights on the connected TV platform. So what exactly is happening with connected TV? I mean, growth patterns. Of course, you don't.
Yeah, I think we lost Karan, but I think the question was on connected TV. Yeah, I think he's back. Perfect.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so on connected TVs, so connected TVs have been around for the last 7-8 years, mainly with sort of proprietary operating systems like your Sony Bravias, your Samsungs, where people would develop, companies would develop their apps directly on these proprietary operating systems. Now you're seeing a huge influx in Android televisions coming on the market at very cheap rates, right? Basically, forcing, people don't need to now buy something like an Amazon Fire Stick to make their television smart. There's also a lot of Android set-top boxes being delivered by DTH players, MSOs, that all convert your standard television into a smart TV or a connected television. So the proliferation is getting there. There's a lot of this happening. To be fair, Amazon with its Fire Stick really pushed the market. A huge number of Fire Sticks were purchased so that people could watch your Disney Hotstars, your Z5s directly on the television. As people start to replace their televisions, they may not look at buying the Fire Stick, they may look at buying Android directly, Android TVs, and they're very, as I said before, from a pricing perspective, they are very similar to a normal television. There is very little price differential nowadays. So now you've got all the proliferation of these lovely connected or smart televisions out there. So now that is going to increase really the visibility of all of these OTT platforms. And depending on what operating system they're running on, that choice is as big as your Android base, right? And it's not restricted. And the beauty about Android, to be fair, or some of these bigger players, is it's not restricted just to Indian OTT platforms. There are a lot of people even here in India accessing applications, OTT platforms from outside the country, where they can get other content. They can get content that's either international or that just expands the amount of content that they can watch. With respect to a comment, I think that was made just now in terms of OTT usage, yes, during lockdown, there's been a massive amount of people watching OTT simply because, unfortunately for the broadcasters, there was no new content. The amount of new content during lockdown was very limited. So it's a question of repeats. More often than not, even live sports, most of that was cancelled last year. So, people were looking to OTT platforms to find new content, other things to watch. But I also think that there's been an element of, maybe too much OTT where people are starting to get bored. There's not even there's only a certain amount of new content that's coming on. There's not enough new stuff for people to watch. And, that may also see a slight drop as people go back to work. And as linear television comes back online.
I think AVOD, CTV, all have grown leaps and bounds as far as COVID trends are concerned here. Just like to get Zubin also to share his perspective on SVOD. He is running a platform which is Shemaroo Me, and they are clearly largely in terms of the SVOD customer base. What do you think are the trends patterns here? Of course, you would have also seen an uptick, given this lockdown. But how is the customer behavior now? Is it still very sticky? Is the habit kind of changing? And what about the readiness of the customer to pay on SVOD?
Yeah, Karan. So I can tell you one thing, that customers are content loyal, and they will go to places where there is content that they like to watch. So if they end up going from one platform to another to watch their favorite content, that is the DNA of the customer. Platform loyalty doesn't exist in the OTT world right now. It's not like a telecom service or a banking service, which is so heterogeneous that you move from one bank to another, you're still the same. So if that's the precursor to the answer, I can safely tell you that what we've done is we've created some sort of models and propositions for customers that are compelling enough for them to take long-term packs and stick on the service, because our promise to them is all about frequency of great content at a regular interval. So, for example, I can just tell you a little case study. About 6 months back, we've launched a regional OTT play with Gujarati as our first regional region, that we are targeting. And what we've seen there, and what we're giving to customers, is a very compelling proposition, which is a mix of either a blockbuster direct to OTT release of a film from a star that is probably at par with a Salman of the Gujarat world. So that level of great content, or it could be a web series that we produce at high quality, which is again original content, or it could be something that the Gujus just love, which is nataks and plays, which is theater. Now, among all these three, we actually promise to a customer a new piece of content every week. And that is what is actually driving the entire customers to come on board and say, great, I will love to subscribe to a service that promises me something and delivers it and gives me great content on a week-on-week basis. So it's almost like looking forward to what's coming up next. And that comes back. That's why they come back to the platform. We've seen some really good traction in the last 6 odd months. And going forward, definitely is the time for regional OTT to kind of pick up. It's the time of that part of the phase of the journey of OTT, where you see regional OTT and cohorts actually emerging. We'll see many more cohorts also coming. It may not just be regional oriented. We might be interest or age or anything of that sort profiled. And that's the kind of trajectory we are seeing on SVOD. Overall, that's on the consumer side, Karan. Besides that, there is, of course, the B2B side of SVOD, which is where you take the same proposition and give it to an entity or an organization and actually say, use this as freebies or vouchers that you can gift to your clients, to your dealers, to your employees. And that's where another good segment of monetization is coming through. So to be fair, and I think the time when everyone was we were earlier looking at MAUs and DAUs and eyeballs, and now it's all about saying, where's the money? So this is the stage where we are at in the evolution of OTT in India.
Right. So I think it's not necessary to look at the user base. I think monetization is also an important, rather than just looking at the user base growth, because the actual conversion happens basis that only. So I think that is something which is there. So very interesting. On customer perspective, I'd like to get Kunal also here. Is it coming from this platform UPSTOX, which is into equities? It's largely, into like a premium customer base, someone who can do online trading that is how they cater to. But Kunal, if you can share some insights, on customer acquisition cost for your platform, and also, some LTV of the customer. How do you actually, see customer behavior on your kind of platform? How sticky they are basically?
Hey, thanks, Karan, and shout out to Nikhil, old friend from ByteDance. Brilliant platform. So, right, I'll just gonna turn the question on slightly, because while of course it does appear that we are targeting premium customers, it's not really where we are. So we are a online trading or online brokerage firm, and being the youngest but the fastest growing, our mission is to actually convert the 96% of the population in our country, which are just not aware of these financial instruments, are only investing in fixed deposits or saving bank accounts, to come and explore these financial instruments like stocks and DigiGold and so on and so forth. Although what we have been doing over the past number of months is investing very heavily in OTT and SVOD and AVOD. And there is a reason why we are doing it. I mean, it's not just because we are targeting premium customers, because of course we are. There's no way of saying that we aren't. But there's this top of the funnel beauty that this platform brings to us, especially me as a marketer, where I can give him targeted communication. I know who's sitting there at the end of the screen, behind the screen, because that's the data that this gives me. And I can create custom communication for him in an environment where he's comfortable to consume it. So there's a lot of, it's very conducive for him to consume that communication. Now, it both in terms of the demographics and the data, and also any smart marketer worth his salt will tell you that it's not the OTT platform, exactly what Zubin was also saying. It's actually trying to identify what kind of content would be the attracting your customers the most. So, for example, being in the kind of category that I am, I might not go for a complete Saas Bahu kind of a program. I'm saying just as an example, I might not go for a complete out and out masala Bollywood film, because that I can get through television as well, right? Because that's where I'm advertising as well. But I would go for, let's say, somebody who's, let's say, watching Shark Tank, for example. And this platform allows me to get that targeted communication out. And then while that communication will be generic on every other platform, here I can custom create, because I know the content and I know the platform and I know the audience. So it gives me a better traction. The last point I wanted to add was, and I was having this conversation in the morning with a couple of people from this industry itself. So they were asking my opinion about, where they see this, industry going and where we are and everything. And so from a marketer's point of view, right now, this is fulfilling, and this is developing right now. It's what Facebook used to be 12 years back, where we only used to use Facebook for driving awareness, or top of the funnel. And you're still trying to figure out what more can it do to us. I think that's where it is right now. I see a lot of traction, top of the mind, driving awareness. I think technologically this needs to develop in much more ways. So that bottom of the funnel can also be something that as marketers we can really look at. Yeah.
Right, indeed. I mean, the kind of platforms which are there today, internet companies, cryptocurrencies, broking trading platforms are the ones which are spending very heavily on advertising. That brings to the next question to Nikhil here. So Nikhil, we've seen a lot of traction in terms of digital advertising, and this advertiser mindset. Clearly, a lot of these advertisers are belonging to the tech, commerce, crypto, and that kind of background. Now, of course, we have seen that traction, but where are the ad dollars moving? Are they moving? Of course, video is one of the fastest growing segments, as we all know. But what about other emerging avenues, whether you call it, search advertising, which is e-commerce led, or social media, display? I mean, where are the various modes of advertising going here?
Karan, I think I could give you a hypothetical answer, but if I look at this panel, you could actually get a exact answer. We have a person who spends a lot of money. UPSTOX has been one of the leading spenders, whether it's digital or offline, and they've been a very visible brand. We have a guy who leads Madison, one of the largest agencies and one of the best, sort of the largest advertisers, especially on the CPG side. We have the leading entertainment platform, Shemaroo, And then we have somebody who represents the DTH side of the business and the advertising dollars. So I think the answer can be very well formulated here between the shared opinion and yourself. But I think how we are looking at this is, I think what COVID has done is actually played catalyst to the digital growth. And let me throw in some numbers here, right? I mean, India is a mobile user country, and there are a lot of myths about how mobile is used in the first place, right? 89% of the time spent for Indians on mobile usage is on direct applications, right? 11% time spent is on mobile web. Now, good luck to people still thinking search and discovery is the way to go, because I think that's a earlier model of desktop way of working, probably when me or Kunal were growing up, because I know him for a little longer, so I can use that liberty. So I wanted to go for a holiday, I will search it, go for a holiday, then it will throw me on the search engine, then I will click on it and I'll get there. The user of today is very smart. The user of says, I want to go for a holiday, I'll go and make my trip. I want to buy a squash racket, I'll go on Amazon. I want to listen to the best song or content, I'll go to Shemaroo. You know, and that's the way the user is operating. Search and discovery is really sort of passe. Is search engine big? Yes, it still is. I mean, there is voice search. Search itself has evolved. There is voice search. I don't know. Bharat is growing. Internet is penetrating. I don't know how to type. So what do? I will just say, take me to ice cream shop, you know, and then it does its job. Case in point, Google Ads. So I think the way advertising has evolved is very interesting in the last 3 to 5 years in India. But I think since the lockdown has happened, a lot of things external have come down to your own home. And when I say it has come down to your own home, you're locked inside your home. So there are ways that you need to entertain yourself, and there are ways that advertisers need to find to reach you. Now, if you want to entertain yourself, you have your mobile, best case scenario. You have your own family members. You have the walls of your house to paint on eventually, or you can look at what more can you do with this television set, which is showing you repeat telecast on linear television. And you evolve into a user who starts using internet better and also starts using internet on his television screen. Oh, wow, I can do this. I can do that with my large TV. The other point about it is when advertisers wanted to reach out to consumers, they realized the consumer is locked at home. So outdoor doesn't work clearly. You know, a lot of forms of advertising that were taken to be for granted do not work. So I need to be the users on the user's mind. One way is his mobile. Now, how much time can he spend on his mobile? I'll occupy 100% share of voice for everyone, but then it's saturating. So connected TV is where the birth of connected TV is where it came from, where users started using internet and started unsubscribing to DTH, cord cutters as we call them. There was an interesting base of cord nevers. They said, you know what, we're at home, we can afford a TV, it's available at 15,000. I can install it at my house in 2 days. It's cheap. I don't need to buy an expensive 1 lakh rupee Samsung. It's not a metropolitan SECA phenomena anymore to buy a large smart TV. So it's a evolution of digital. And I think putting into perspective, going back to your question, the digital trends on growth side, nothing has declined, to be really honest for us, right? Since the COVID, digital industry has actually boomed. Everything probably saw a little bit of a dip, but everything then went on a growth trajectory because the only form for you to do any commerce was left to digital, right? Now, could it be search led? Could it be brand led? Could it be video led? Could it be OTT led? Could it be CTV led? Everything was revolving around digital. So everything on that digital path was on a growth trajectory.
Right, very interesting indeed. So Kosal, just a question which is related to, again, the marketing tech and the AVOD market. Now, AVOD is a market where it's a winner takes it all, right? You have got the likes of sports, which has got a very large share over there. Now, how do you see this entire AVOD market structure evolving? Because we are seeing a lot of content, right, from movies to originals to short form video put together. There's one end, there is YouTube aggregators who takes a large share, and there is one end, there's MX Player. On the other end, there is sports, which takes a large share as well. So I think 70% of the market is dominated by this. So do you see a shift in terms of ad dollars as far as the AVOD market is concerned, or you believe sports and aggregators will continue to have a big edge here?
Well, there is a clear shift towards AVOD market, right? So if we look at the way we ourselves, I mean, I'm talking about myself and the way we plan, there is a huge amount of money that's been going into AVOD platforms. Of course, they are sports led. So we know that because of sports, there is a spike and so on and so forth. But the fact remains that, okay, it's a very simple thing, right? So today, an AVOD platform probably has 50 million MAUs, 100 million MAUs, whatever it is. You have a lot of other platforms which probably, which are not video advertising led, which probably have 200 million MAUs or 250 million MAUs. But by default, for an advertiser, they find it a lot easier to believe that an AVOD will give them better results than any other form of advertising. This is because I'm able to tell a story very well. But for this to sustain, AVOD has to invest in original content. As I think Zubin pointed out, that there is a lot of content that keeps coming up on Shemaroo, which is why people keep coming back. For people to keep coming back to an AVOD platform, content needs to be updated. Is it necessarily in the form, does it necessarily be have to be in the form of originals? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, even if you're taking the TV content and putting it up on your AVOD platform, there are a lot of people who are following your TV content and they watch it on the AVOD instead of watching it on TV. I mean, in my own house, I haven't had a DTH connection for the last 3 years. And this is a trend I'm seeing not only in the younger generation, but a lot of people in the older generation are also doing this. And I don't see the next generation even knowing how, how this works. Like my daughter doesn't know what it means to not get the content she wants when she wants. So AVOD is here to stay. It's about content being constantly updated, and the advertising dollars are absolutely going to shift here.
Yeah, but within that, you believe aggregator sports will continue to have an edge as they've always had, right? There's not going to be any change in that.
Not necessarily. It needn't. I cannot say for sure that a sports this one or aggregators will have an edge. Not necessarily. You can have individual platforms coming up. That is an evolving story. But whichever platforms manages to have enough content and attract more consumers is going to absolutely keep growing. Because at the end of the day, see, if you're putting up your money on aggregators, there's always a question of where is my content being shown. Yeah. Sorry, I was losing you, Karan. You were saying something? Yeah. So there's always a question of I don't know where my content is being shown. So even if I'm getting it cheap, I want to be more aware of where exactly I'm putting my content. I'm ready to pay that slight premium. And of course, the next story is the data game, but that's a much larger conversation. I don't know if I should even start that topic because that can go on for a while now. But it's about data. It's about original content or more and more content. That's where the money is going to shift.
Karan, can I step in here for a second, Karan, with your permission?
Yeah, please.
So basically, how are the platforms making it easier for, this is Anil Vanvare here, how are the platforms making it easier for, especially the OTT ones, the fast ones, the free advertising supported television OTT guys, how are they making it easier for advertisers to come on board? Let's say, let's have UPSTOX, Kunal come and tell us about it. I mean, can you go and select a plan on Hotstar itself, going onto it? Z5 has a very good advertising dashboard, which you can go and use. I don't know what Shemaroo is offering in that space, if they're nothing of that sort. So as advertisers and as agencies, what do you all look at?
Hey, Anil, I think that's one of the biggest questions that define what kind of a media plan that we put in place. Look, traditionally speaking, like I said earlier, right, for us at UPSTOX, or even if I wasn't with UPSTOX and I was looking at all of these platforms for my brand, the way they are structured right now, again, like I said earlier, and forgive me for repeating myself, it's all about your top of the funnel. Now, of course, those dashboards and everything do work for me, but overall, what I've seen is that when I start putting my banners and everything for driving consideration or bottom of the funnel, the traction that I see there in any of the platforms across, because I have advertising in all of them, is considerably less than if I would probably go on a YouTube. Now, the reason could be, and this is me speculating, is because the Indian consumers used to that kind of advertising on a YouTube because it's been there for donkey's years. He's used to that kind of an advertising on a Facebook or any other platform, whereas A, this is very new. Second, from the kind of conversations we've had with customers, which has helped us define our communication/media strategy, is the moment I go on an SVOD or a CTV, the expectation is that do not show me advertising. And the moment I show him my ad, that basically, there's this frown moment and a smile moment. So you always want to be in the smile moment, right? It's always a frown moment because he's saying, "Main paisa de raha hu. I'm giving you money. Why are you showing me an ad?"
But these days on Hotstar, I'm swamped with ads, and your ads are also there. And while I'm frowning, but I'm also smiling because I'm watching the cricket, and I'm loving the tournament.
Like I said, right? Thank you so much for bringing that out, because see, that's exactly what we are trying to do right now. I am not driving conversions or anything there. I'm driving awareness. I mean, just to share numbers with you, we started advertising when IPL started, which was 2 weeks of advertising in March and 2 weeks of advertising now. And my Tom scores have gone from 3 to 40, which is actually at par with my biggest competitor in the market, which is Zerodha. So these platforms are fulfilling what my current marketing objective is. But the moment I start thinking that, okay, this is going to get people to open DMAT accounts, I'll be fooling myself. I'm being very honest here. Yeah, so pretty much that. I think, and another thing in my view, and I've spoken to, like I said, I was speaking to a group of people from, OTT, from Z and Sony and everybody in the morning. And I think the next big thing is going to be how content and brands integrate together on these platforms. Mere advertising and ads will not really suffice on this platform, because like I said, at the end of the day, maybe not now, maybe 5 years or 10 years from now, CTVs and SVOD is going to be the biggest thing. And if you start showing them ads there, then I'm sorry, your platform's going to die, because we know it, right? We see an ad while we're watching a favorite show and we're like, yeah, what the hell? I'm binging on some show today. So yeah, pretty much. And I think,
no, but you'll have clever integration coming in at that time. You'll have lots of clever integration, yeah, and you'll have clever stories being told. UPSTOX will come up with a series which will be sponsored by it, which will talk. Probably UPSTOX will create the next scam.
Which we are.
Well, you're creating the next scam, are you? I hope not in real life. Only as a series.
Next scam? No, of course not. Never.
No, only as a series.
We're all about.
Have we lost Karan? Have we lost Karan? Karan, are you there?
I think, Anil, you are now the moderator, or either I can do it, but you are now the new.
What happened to Karan?
Karan had to leave. I think he's got an exchange coming up.
Yeah.
So you and Nikhil can continue.
Okay. So coming back again, so I see content being created by platforms like stock marketing investment platforms like y'all, driving the next conversations in terms of maybe not having too much advertising, but having conversations as part of a program. Like if I look at what an academy is doing during the IPL, I think that's amazing storytelling.
Also, I just wanted to point out one thing. Like it's not going to be all apples and oranges for everybody, right? Because see, for us, we are a very new category in this country, right? Half the people don't even know what we do. I mean, if I speak to people and I say I'm with UPSTOX, stocks, because you must be doing something with stocks. Are you a stockbroker? Where do you sit? The first question is, where do you sit? Are you sitting in Bombay? So I had to explain to them, no, I'm sitting in Dehradun and I'm chilling there. But so for us, it's a different ballgame altogether. And like I said right in the beginning, my biggest challenge is not to compete with the players that are there in the market, but to tell people what this category is, educate people that, listen, start making your money work for you rather than just putting it in a fixed deposit and going off to sleep. Because the most interesting conversation I had was day before yesterday with my retired colonel of a neighbor. And he's like, and sorry, I'm just going to a quick story about my category. He's like, beta, the safest thing are banks. Why would I put it on stocks, and why will I watch all these candlesticks and the graphs and all that at my age? And then I just started telling him the number of banks that have failed in the last 10 years. So small bottle one, and battle one. But that's the battle I'm fighting right now, because, and there is wherein I see content playing a huge part, because no matter how much advertising I do, unless people see it, feel it, and kind of consume it in an environment that is most comfortable for them, looking at the kind of people they closely relate to, I'll never be able to win this battle.
But then you can't measure that really. Can you measure content stories?
See, currently like I said, right, for the next at least 6 months, I'm working on awareness. I'm not.
No, I'm saying later when you go, how will you measure your effectiveness? Can Kosal, can Malladi get a kind of what is the return of an investment in that? Can you get any KPIs and measurement done over there?
Anil, I have a very simple measurement, is the number of accounts opened. The moment the number of accounts open dips, so share one example with you. Let's say, before IPL, we were at X amount of accounts open per month. Within the first 3 weeks of IPL, after we did a campaign, we were at 70x. And we had a dip of 25x because we were quiet till IPL 2.0 came on, and now we are back at 70x.
So that's great efficacy. Yeah. But not on a smaller property.
Sorry, I didn't get
not
that.
On a smaller property. This is a tentpole property. Yeah, if you did it on a movie, which is, let's say, a movie running on Shemaroo, though it may not be accepting, if you did it on a smaller product.
Unfortunately, there's this, the worst part about my category is I can't do movies, I can't do influencers, I can't do known faces. My TVCs get stuck with the exchange if the guy has an IMDb profile, even if he's done a walk-on part to a film. So I can't do any of those things.
Okay.
So I have to be extremely smart of what kind of advertising I do.
Okay, yeah. I think Zubin was saying something. Okay. Or Malladi was saying something.
Yeah, I was saying in terms of content, it's not so easy to put a KPI to it, right? But my belief is, honestly, content has to be a long-term approach. If you're doing certain content integrations, you need to do it for an X period of time and see how your brand metrics are moving. It could be in the form of account opens, as Kunal just spoke about. Maybe it can be in terms of your TOM, it can be in terms of your consideration scores, etc. But it has to be long-term. We cannot do one small content integration and think that the world will change. Because the only way you'll measure it is probably by saying this person has spent X minutes on my content, or an average time spent is this much. But beyond that, it's very difficult to put it. So the two metrics you need to track is, one, are you reaching enough number of people with that content? So even if you're paying a premium over your regular advertising, that's fine. But are you reaching enough number of people? What is the time spent? And then you track how your brand scores are moving at the end of 6 months, a year.
Just wanted to jump in there, Kosal. Just wanted to jump in there and add a little bit to what you're saying. Look, I completely agree with what you're saying, because of course, TOM is something that we measure. Like, we were at 3 when we started off, we're at 45 right now. At par with Zerodha and Grow, which have been there for much longer than we've been there. The problem with content is, and that's the biggest challenge I'm facing, is I'm actually putting money in something that's not been created yet. Consumption and time spent is Aladdin's Chirag at this point in time. So I am currently sitting with and having lots of meetings with creators who are coming and pitching me content, not me, but my team as of now, but pitching me content wherein, of course, with the guardrails that the exchange has put on me. How do I, circumvent them and so on and so forth? So I'm betting my money on.
Please don't say circumvent. How do I lay adherence to them?
Absolutely. How do I abide by their generously applied principles?
Yeah.
But I have a quick question on this, just stepping in, I think, democratizing online, and I would love to bring in, obviously, Zubin and Ru also on their point of view. I think democratization of how we look at content is very interesting, right? I still see a large part of the advertisers as well as the advertising agencies spending a large part of their dollars on YouTube. And then we say, are they content creators? Are they influencer led? We really don't know. And, me being an ex-marketer, I keep saying this, I've been a big part of the advocacy on YouTube, but in this conversation, it doesn't exist, right? Because it doesn't fit in. Are you an OTT platform? Are you a CTV? Are you an AVOD? Are you an SVOD? But a still large part of your dollars are going there. And my basic question always comes in that, tell me one big simple thing when you keep talking about the hygiene on your advertising, right? You want to reach you want to reach female, mothers, Bharat. Do you think the guy sitting in Jalandhar, tier 2, tier 3, or the guy sitting in Kharad is actually opening YouTube and watching his local Kannada content, or local Mangalorean content, or local Punjabi content? And, the way content, and obviously Kunal and me are ex-TikTok. I think the revolutionization of why TikTok could do what it could do in 1.5 years and why Facebook could not do that in 10 years is because it democratized it, right? It empowered people. And But from an advertising lens, still we see large parts still. And you know, my fight is always in the market. I don't have a problem with YouTube. I'm just saying that users are spending as much time on OTTs, right? I mean, there is no research actually telling you that a user spends this percentage of time on OTT versus this on YouTube. There is none, because they're both walled gardens, right? They both have their own data. And then one guy is saying a user spends 5 hours with my platform. The other guy says, oh, he spends, almost 20 hours on mine. Now we don't know what is the user span, eyeballs, etc., because there's no way of measuring it. But then from an advertiser lens, we say YouTube is easy to do because all the data comes back. It's easy to see. It's easy to look at. And then we are in this conversation where we also have Zubin. Now, Shemaroo has been creating great content for the longest period of time. It's one of the largest YouTube channels, extremely inclined towards there, has a huge database. How do you guys look at it? And then obviously bringing in Drew. How is DTH evolving? What are you looking at? I mean, are you also looking at internet-based set-top boxes? Is that something that's next? Because as Media Smart, we are in touch with Binge and we are in touch with Extreme. We had Archana on the panel a couple of panels back. How are you guys moving towards this whole digital economy? So happy to hear your thoughts, guys. I just wanted to throw this last question in.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Who you want to go ahead?
Sure, no problem. Okay, on this YouTube piece, I think the reason why there is so much, there are two reasons why people like to advertise on YouTube. One, as we've all said, there's a huge amount of content, right? There is no platform pretty much on the planet that has more content than YouTube, right? You could have even the most esoteric interests and you'll still find something on YouTube, right? So people, and especially if you look at it, it's the younger generation, right? My kids, the 20s and below, who live off YouTube. They don't, while they'll use the OTT platforms to watch a series that they particularly like, they're not really interested in linear TV. There's really nothing particularly in there for them. That's very much focused at either your young kids or your adults. So YouTube as a platform has a huge number of eyeballs, mainly because of the sheer quantum of content and the sheer vastness in terms of different types of content. And even from the youth perspective, they don't like to watch long pieces of content. They enjoy their 5-minute series, 5-minute show, and then watch something else, right? And a lot of it is driven through social media, through friends, posting it and just watching. And to be fair, YouTube has amazing algorithms, particularly in being able to give you other relevant content basis all your previous history. Because don't forget, YouTube as a Google product is not storing just your data about what you're watching within YouTube. It is storing data about what you've been doing on your e-commerce platforms, in your emails, everywhere. All the data, everybody pretty much has a Google account, right? That's one of the reasons why in connected Android TVs, a lot of advertising is driven through Google advertising, because it's collecting history about you, not just from what you're watching on your connected television, but what you've been doing outside, on your mobile or your email or on e-commerce platforms like Amazon. So it's taking all of that history about you, all of that data about who you are, and being able to then pinpoint advertising specifically to your needs. And it's those advertising algorithms and the fact that they can pinpoint exactly the kind of adverts that are relevant to you, which makes YouTube so powerful. To be fair, the OTT platforms, the ones that use Google or use even Yahoo now is coming up as a good advertising platform, take all of that, have access to that sort of profile of you as a consumer. But other OTT platforms that have custom built their advertising solutions don't only have a history of you as a person who's watching XYZ content on your platform, right? So that profile is less, is less complete. So it can only be based on what you happen to be watching. And that's why I think advertisers enjoy the YouTube side of things, because of that, the complex and very fine-tuned algorithms that they've developed over the last 20 years.
Yeah. So
can I just add in?
Yeah, please.
So I'll tell you, while of course, Shemaroo, we spoke about our OTT, which is SVOD. our AVOD avatar is YouTube, and we have a very strong proliferation of YouTube content, and our trajectory, touchwood, is very, very solid there. We're one of the largest organized publishers of content on YouTube in India. And just to give you a sense, we keep talking to advertisers, we keep talking to agencies directly as well, via YouTube as well. And there's a very clear, there's a very common saying between all of them, is that when we look at an ad campaign, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, I need to do, if I have to do a 360 ad campaign, it'll end up being print, outdoor, TV, YouTube, and then digital. You know what I mean? So YouTube has now become mainstream advertising for most advertisers. Why? Because of the sheer ubiquity that Ru mentioned. It is extremely, I mean, there are 300 million plus MAUs on YouTube, and it pretty much cuts across more than 60% of our internet penetration in India, if I may say so. Now, from that viewpoint, the question is, what are the OTTs going to offer in terms of better service or better targeting or better CPMs to reach out to the same customer who's anyways reaching out to YouTube? It is unlikely, and I cannot say this for sure, but it is unlikely that a customer will only watch an OTT piece of content and never have watched YouTube. His trajectory to video will always be via YouTube to some OTT or the other. Even for that matter, the Gen Zs, for that matter, who are coming in on the short video apps like Josh and Chingari and all of those as well, they will have come on YouTube and then gone there. So that's the one reason why we've kind of stayed away from AVOD. The second reason, of course, to Kosal's point, and I just want to state this, is while you say that there's a very strong need for content to continuously come in, I can assure you any business case on this planet will never prove that AVOD will fund content coming in right through for life. In fact, it is a negative gross margin business. And from the word go, you'll be bleeding and you'll bleed for life. So there is, I mean, from a business standpoint. Now, of course, the advertiser will say, I want to advertise on a platform, and probably you'll get more and more advertisers coming in. But for that, the content provider or the OTT provider has to constantly invest in content. And not just content, he has to invest in content, invest in customers, invest in CDN. So you're constantly in that rat race and hoping that the advertiser is going to fund all of that cost, which is never going to happen. So to that extent, I believe that AVOD to some point, I mean, we'll have to see how the AVOD business model and metrics kind of pan out. Growth, yes, but whether it's sustainable or not, it's still a question, and we'll see how things go as we pan out.
Nikhil, I'm going to just counter the Zubin on this. Sure. Internationally, FAST is the fastest emerging segment internationally, especially in the US markets, because Netflix, Hulu, all of them have plateaued. Even Disney has plateaued, whereas FAST is the fastest growing.
But AVOD platforms are not profitable. You look at any AVOD platform internationally.
Because they're rather new. If you look at what Tubi, which Fox took over,
yeah.
How much are they doing? About $600 million now in top line?
Yeah, but if you look at the bottom line of all of these, why are they, so there are two ways to look at it, Anil. If you want to be in the valuation game and get acquired as your holy grail of an OTT, then by all means take AVOD as your route, grow, keep growing, pump in VC money and PE money, and you'll grow and you'll finally get acquired and probably make some.
I'm not saying AVOD is the only way. I'm saying you're almost dismissing AVOD. You're making a mistake over there.
AVOD is a cost mitigation metric. You can say
that. Cost mitigation, one of the cost, but subscription is going to be a Malladi.
Subscription. I mean, let's take a classic example. Who would have ever thought that MX, who's such a heavy AVOD player with 250 million MAUs as they claim,
would move towards SVOD?
Move to SVOD. Why? Let's ask that question. Why are they moving to SVOD? I mean, and it's obvious that, you know, even people, and they've acquired a ready base of that much. They didn't have to acquire them. That's the second point. Even after that, which was in their advantage, they have moved to.
Yeah, but SVOD in India is not going to be purely SVOD in India, by the way. It's going to be a mix of advertising, like is there on Hotstar, So you'll have a, yeah, it's
Absolutely.
never going to be, it's the television
Advertising-
market has shown us that.
No,
So, and connected,
what?
sorry.
Advertising will lead to your top funnel. So you
Yeah.
bring in customers by saying, come to my platform and consume and sample. That sampling will be funded by or mitigated by advertising revenue. And with that, hope that the customer then likes your content, gets engaged and starts subscribing, which is the
Even
whole
if he subscribes, he'd still get advertising,
that is where the catch
which is happening in Hotstar.
which is not happening in MX and not happening at Shemaroo as well. So
No.
in fact, if you
No,
see
across many platforms actually, Zubin. I mean, just because you take a subscription to watch, let's say, a movie called Radhe on Z, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna get ads. And as a pure CTV user, I do get ads after paying that subscription as well. So there is a lot to be figured. One is, I mean, obviously there is the OTT play on mobile, and then there is the whole connected TV play, because they're both the and you know this better than most people, all of us put together, because both the algorithms are not the same, your SDKs are not the same, your advertising dollars are not the same, your user base is not the same, your tech on back end is not the same. So probably what's happening is, I think there's a lot to be figured, right? Paying a subscription, and that's where I think I actually disagree that there is anything called SVOD, AVOD. I mean, these are, yes, great global terms, but in India, you still end up paying subscription, watch Radhe, and then you still get an ad, and you suddenly realize, oh God, I thought I get paid, and I will not see an ad, right? So I think probably those lines are yet to be defined well. I have seen ads on paid premium subscriptions at Woot, where I have also seen 7 to 9 minute ads coming in my feed. I mean, I can't even explain how that happened. So could be a tech glitch, right? So I think there's a lot to be
No,
done.
but I personally see the universe never being pure play. Netflix is a separate game. It's going to be a niche player. Amazon Prime is going to be a niche player. And for instance, Netflix in France has gone towards a television channel.
Amazon is advertising. Let's be very clear about it, right?
No,
So
that's the marketplace. Don't talk about the market. I'm talking about Prime Video. I'm talking
No,
about
in
Prime
fact,
Video.
it'll be very interesting that probably if you're paying a subscription, we don't want to see the ads there. But you can collect the data of your premium subscribers and show them ads on your DSP, right? So that could be an interesting, and that's probably where Amazon is.
that's exactly where
That's
a great point.
I was just going to jump into what Kosal was saying over there. See, that's, according to me as a marketer, is the next step when it comes to this category, because like I was talking right in the beginning as well, you know, the frown point and the smile point, right? I don't want this guy to see my ad if he's paid a premium. I don't want my brand to be there. But what I want is my OTT partner to come back to me and say, look, bro, this is my content piece. This is the kind of consumer that is watching it. These are the details of this guy. Now he's already got my app. Why don't you give me push notifications, for example? Why don't you interact with him in some other way? That's the kind of extension is what is required in this industry. And
Kunal, that extension already exists. Actually, it's us. I'm sorry, I'll just butt in, Ru, that with our, at least on our platform, and I've told this to Kosal so many times, that with CTV and household sync, I can actually put an ad on a connected TV across OTT as what we identify as a connected TV. And they can retarget the household. So I'm actually mapping the journey of the connected TV user to his mobile phone. And once I recognize him on his mobile phone, I can put whatever filters, build that data for you at a PII regulatory level of what needs to be done, what does not need to be done. So the technology actually exists. Is it a scalable one? How big is the whole CTV universe? That is pretty small.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. You took the words right out of my mouth. But like I said, you know, I was just about to share, let me share an example. What's the earliest form of advertising you guys know about? I think it was the guy with the dholak going into villages and saying, suno, 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 right? That was, I think, according to me, is the earliest form of advertising, where the entire village used to gather around this guy, and he was used to, more importantly or not, proclamations of the king. You know, the king wants you to do this and do that. And then what happened there? I mean, that is where OTT is right now. Part two of that, when people started printing, was along with that guy, used to be this guy who used to hand out a pamphlet. That is the second stage where we can drive action, where we can drive consideration, where we can drive downloads for that matter. So, and this needs to be done at scale for somebody like an UPSTOX or any of my, my brethren to start taking it very seriously, because unless I get scale, I'd rather put my money somewhere where I know for a fact that I'm going to get conversions, right? I'll do programmatic and I'll do performance marketing. But for this industry to become a self-sustaining industry, because see, like I understand what Zubin was also saying, I understand what most of you guys are saying. Look, content can only do that much. And along with content, there are a lot of guardrails that marketers put. So there is brand safety. So I will never put myself, let's say, in a platform like an Alt Balaji. I'll never put my brand there. I'm just using.
But you might find your best customers there.
I might, but then my brand should not be there. So there is a difference between, you know, where my customers are and what my brand is. I mean, there are a lot of people who belong to, you know, lower middle class households and also drink Chivas Regal. But Chivas Regal will never go and advertise to them. So there is an advertising audience and there's a consumption audience.
Sure.
So I will never put my brand. So there is brand safety is a huge consideration for me to take. For example, on Sony, I'll never go and advertise and scam 1992. You know what I'm saying? That will be counterproductive to what I'm trying to do. But for some brands, it might work. So there is a lot of these factors that at a stratospheric level that, you know, platforms need to figure out among themselves. But to us marketers, you need to give us conversions at scale, because at the end of the day, my board, if I go to ask him for $1 to spend, he wants $1.50 in terms of returns, right? I can't say here at the end of the day, maybe after 2 years of this content, our brand will be household. He'll throw me out immediately. He'll like go open a chai ka kiosk or something. So I think that's, but that's where I see it going. And I think if it happens as soon as it happens is when the entire debate of whether I want to advertise on YouTube versus CTV or OTT or SVOD and AVOD, I think that argument will be balanced beautifully.
Yeah, Rue was saying something when we stopped the lady. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It was just this discussion between AVOD and SVOD and whether adverts should be there on the SVOD side. Effectively, what we're talking about is freemium versus premium, right? You know, the advertising can be in both. The whole point of paying a subscription is that you're going to get access to additional content that you would not be able to access on the AVOD side, right? On the freemium aspect. So whether there are adverts or not, that is entirely up to the platform and how they want to, what their business case and how they want to generate their revenues. But there shouldn't be an issue with putting advertising on, you know, just because somebody's paid for subscription. The content that they're accessing is content that is unique. It's different. There's a reason why a customer is paying X amount per month to access that content, because they can't access it in a freemium environment.
Yeah, so Rue, I'm just going to interrupt you. If you look at a sports pack in India on television, I mean, what should cricket be, IPL be costing in India? There's a price cap put up by TRA. You cannot go beyond 12 rupees. So is that what you pay? When you go to watch a single match in the US, a boxing match, you pay $45 for that one match. And, you know, you're paying some $200 in the US for just, baseball. In India, the pricing parity is, you cannot compare. We're getting premium product at dirt cheap prices.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. But you're getting also the advertising at the same time, right?
Which is irritating. Yeah, but thank you. I'm getting the cricket.
Yeah, but you're getting the cricket. You're getting your EPL. You're getting even if you go to Europe, you try paying a package with Sky for the EPL, right? You're paying
£100.
100, easily a month, right? So it's what the amount of money that we're willing to pay here for premium content is so small. And it's nothing to do with TRI, to be fair. Even if you look at...
Nice plug.
One second. It's not... theoretically, the broadcasters can put any price on that channel if they want to.
But that's on a la carte, but not as part of packs.
Exactly. So it's a question that the broadcasters have decided that they want it as part of their bouquets, and therefore they have to limit it to the maximum that TRI has defined. That doesn't stop them putting it at 100 rupees, 100
Yeah, but 100 rupees is not what... Would you pay $100? I would. Would you pay for cricket? Would Kunal pay $100 for cricket?
For football, yes. Sorry, I'm a footy fan.
No, would you pay? Would you pay $1,000? Would you pay $13 for Disney Hotstar in the you pay for Disney in the US?
Yeah, but we have to not look at we have to look at the average paying capability within.
So the market is always going to be a blend of pay plus advertising, subscription plus advertising in India. Even on OTT, it is never going to be fully SVOD driven unless you're a Netflix and an outsider looking at smaller niche audiences, or your Prime, which is looking at niche audiences.
Absolutely. No, my only point was that even under SVOD, you can still be doing advertising. It's because
So what advertisers comes in now?
Content, you're doing you're paying subscription to access premium content that you wouldn't be able to access outside of the system. Now, whether that has advertising or not is up to the platform to decide. But there shouldn't be that expectation that you don't get advertising just because you're paying 200 rupees, 300 rupees. Subscription shouldn't be there, right? It's the same thing.
But if I'm paying $1,000, I don't want advertising. I'm sorry. If it does come, I'll unsubscribe.
Okay, then it'll be premium subscription, right? Then you have AVOD, SVOD, and PSVOD, right? Premium subscription.
Yeah, I partially agree with Drew, and I just wanted to add a little bit of a segue in this one. Of course, as a business, and even the consumer kind of expects you to put advertising there, because at the end of the day, you're a business, right? This is something I learned when I was working with news channels and selling news on digital. As a platform, if you can put advertising without obstructing the consumption of the user, without him having to wait for you to show 10 ads and then go back to his series, I think that would be a much better way of advertising. Sports is different, because whether it's in EPL or in football, they will not show an ad while the match is going on. It will be during the break. Yeah. In cricket, we've all grown up with saying that the moment the last ball the batsman hits it, they break into an ad. I mean, a number of times you come back to figure out that he was run out. But when it comes to content, let's say, for example, I'm watching a series, if a way can be made, which is what television is doing now with Aston bands, for example.
Which is what news is corrupted with the Aston bands.
Yeah, whatever. But I'm just saying, it doesn't obstruct my viewing pleasure. Of course, it kind of, distorts it, but it doesn't obstruct it. See, at the end of the day, we're all paying that amount of money, and exactly what Ru said, to consume content which is otherwise not available, and content that nobody's forcing me. I really want to see Game of Thrones. But when I'm binging on Game of Thrones, I don't want to see Mammy Poco Pants. You know what I'm saying? I want to see Game of Thrones. Show an ad somewhere, make it a small distort. But there are ways to do it. And I think the user experience, if we start thinking of that and start investing in that, both as a platform and for me as an advertiser, it's gonna give great rewards.
Yeah. So, but going on to digital, you can also have lower thirds. You can also have other ways of showcasing your ads. You can have vertical ads. You can have.
My philosophy is very simple for my brand. If it does not obstruct the viewing experience, I'm there. If it does, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be there. Simple.
Yeah. All right. Nikhil, you have anything to say, or should we call it a wrap?
I'm good. I think, I just messaged also that I have to drop out. I don't know if Zubin has already dropped out, but I think this panel has gone on for more than additional 25 minutes. So thank you all actually for sticking around.
Thank you all of you. Thanks, Kunal. We look forward to being in. And thanks to forever, like always. And thanks, Kosal.
Thanks, Nikhil.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.